The interesting thing is that once farmers start to inquire, or might say start trusting you, things open up for the farmers. And I'd like to tell you a particular story of how a farmer approached me. We sent him some literature, and then at a field day in South Australia he came and saw me, and then following that we had a conversation at the field day. And at that field day, this is going back a couple of years, about 3 years ago, the whole area was copping a very, very bad drought. The farmers would say it's the worst drought, the worst conditions they've had in that area as long as they can experience. And this particular farmer said to me that he expects his merino sheep to be down to about 50% lambing because the conditions are so bad. Basically what he says, that the sheep shuts down the system and they just don't conceive, and if they do conceive they lose a lot of lambs because the mothers just can't carry them. And he was expecting about a 50% lambing. So the first thing we did was asked him to use one of our stock supplements, which is a specifically designed stock supplement that was actually was designed by our agricultural scientist, the stock supplement is based on drenching the animals approximately every 56 days or 60 days, and to encourage the microflora in the animal's digestive system. Now, as you probably know, the sheep have about a 30% in weight. What's in the digestive system is actually microbes. And in adverse conditions, the feed they're eating is pretty rough, and it's a little bit nutrient deficient. And if you increase the microbes in the animal's digestive system, then you get better food utilisation. Now, so he knew this, and he's giving the animals the drench, but also said to him in a later conversation on the phone, I said to him, why don't you introduce some stock licks on the property? And his first, it's in a mineral form. And what that would mean that the stock licks would be in bins, and you had to put these bins, mount them on some sort of frame so the sheep wouldn't knock them over. And he said, look, I just couldn't do that, I'm too busy. And I said to him, well, hold on. Well, you must know an old timer in the area, or some young chap who's can do some work after school or so for you. And he said, all he needs to do is some welding. And I said, preferably an old chap. And he said, yeah, I know someone like that. And I said, well, what you do is you get him to weld up a trial batch of these things, just for one flock or so, or on a flock, and see how you go. And also you'd get this old timer to ring around and source some cheap minerals. And they are basic minerals, but you have to get them on the farm. And so from a point where this farmer realised he didn't have the time to do this sort of thing, later on, when I was talking to him, he did put this practice into place, and his lambing percentage was well over 90%. Now, when you consider that, he put some simple things into practice, cost him very little. In fact, he would have spent something like maybe $500 for this old timer to set up this trial situation to see how effective it was. You can see that on a big flock where you got 5,000 to 7,000 sheep, that lambing percentage moving up from an expected 50% to in excess of 90% has saved the farmer a huge amount of money. That's tens of thousands. And when you consider over the years, that is hundreds of thousands of dollars this farmer will actually save by putting some simple things into practice. And that might have been a 10, 20-minute conversation. Now, I don't know how great that is, but to me that's like, getting money from nowhere. It's fun for the farmer. Plus the satisfaction that the farmer gets afterwards when things are humming along. Look, no farmer really wants to see struggling stock, sick stock. That's the last thing a farmer wants. So you can just imagine the joy this farmer had when things turned around for him.